Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm here with Ron Joseph. He is a retired Maine wildlife biologist, and he's spent more than 30 years working for state and federal agencies, and he has this new book out right now called Bald Eagles, Bear Cubs, and Hermit Bill. Thank you for joining us today,
Well,
Ron.
thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure and a privilege.
Absolutely. So this book, it's I think you can currently buy it online. You want to tell us a little bit about the book?
Sure. The publisher is Islandport Press in
Yep.
Yarmouth, Maine, and they kind of specialize in Maine stories.
A Maine publisher, that's fantastic.
Maine publisher, and I really wanted to go with a small publishing company, and
Yeah.
this is a really good company.
Yeah.
So I went with them, and
Yep.
the book can be purchased through Islandport Press, but I understand that it's going to soon be available through bookstores.
Fantastic.
too.
So the thing about this book, I mean, you were saying this is his first book. You know,
Yeah.
this is a culmination of your life's work.
It is.
Can you talk about that a little
Sure.
bit?
Well, it's funny because I had no intention of writing a book.
Really?
I began in 1988
Yep.
writing in Moosehead Lake. I was working for the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, and a chap named Everett Parker, he owned Moosehead Messenger, a weekly paper. He met me at the Moose check station. He says, "Ron, you've got such great stories. Why don't you start writing them down?" I
What
said,
a good guy.
And so I wrote, I said, well, I'll try a couple, and I did, and the response was, people really like this, Ron.
Nice.
So it was really good. And then the Bangor Daily News, Kent Ward, I don't know if that's a name, some of your viewers will remember
I'm
Kent.
sure.
He called himself the old dog.
Cool.
He got a hold of the Moose Messenger and said, geez, can I reprint some of these in the Bangor Daily News? So it's like, so I said, all right, go right ahead. So we started that, and then I started writing for magazines. But I really had no intention of writing a book.
Very cool. But you got plenty of experience, so
I
it
did.
might as well, yeah.
I did, and then I have these really good friends, Paul Dorn, who's written a lot of books. He's author of the Mike Bowditch Game Warden series.
Yes, yep.
And his wife, Kristen, is a poet. And they kept saying to me, you really should write
Absolutely.
a book.
So on that note, do you have some favorite aspects of the book?
Well, I think probably, when I was really young, I was born in 1952. I spent as much time as I possibly could on my grandparents' dairy farm.
Yeah.
They had a small dairy farm in Mercer, which is sort of near Farmington on the Sandy River.
Yep.
They were very poor farmers,
Yep.
but wonderful. I mean, I had great grandparents, and that was my introduction to wildlife.
Yeah.
And I just, people say, well, what do you remember most about the farm? And I said, well, we had this border collie, Bonnie. We loved Bonnie,
Yeah.
of course. And she herded up the cows. We had milking cows and sheep. But one day, she chased a bull moose
Wow.
into the barnyard, and we felt bad for this moose because this moose had nowhere to go. So it ran between the barn and the farmhouse, and it went past the clothesline, and it caught my grandmother's bra as it went by. Look at this bull moose running across the field with my grandmother's bra hanging on an antler. And we thought it was hysterical.
Yeah.
But my grandmother was really upset.
Just mortified.
She had just picked eggs, collected eggs, and she had in the hen house and put the basket down. She had rubber boots on because it was a wet morning.
Right.
And she grabbed the broom, and here she is with an apron, and she's chasing the moose across the field.
And that's a big animal.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took off, and it was in the woods. And then a month later, my grandfather and my brother and I are out there. Well, I'm probably 5 years old, 6 years old.
Right.
And there's the bra hung up on a witch hazel bush, So we brought it back, and it was all chewed up by mice, But my grandmother, she was kind of stern. She was an old Yankee.
Yeah.
She didn't have a whole lot of humor. But
Right.
those kinds of experiences on the farm and seeing barn swallows and meadowlarks and so I really had an interest in wildlife at a very young
You're
age.
full of stories,
Yeah.
clearly.
So I did. I decided with these friends pushing me that I really should put
Good
these
friends.
stories down in a
Yeah.
book, and
Yeah.
I did. So we'll see how it goes. It
Fantastic.
Could be, yeah.
Oh, it'll go well.
Well, if it's a flop, it's a flop. But
No, absolutely not.
But it was fun to relive all those stories in the book.
Absolutely. Well, so it's already released. It's going to be in bookstores. Do you know any, any bookstores? Where can people get it?
I think people are getting it now from Barnes & Noble.
Cool.
Those who pre-ordered from Islandport Press have already received their copy.
Fantastic.
But I think the Amazon and all these other bookstores, they'll be getting them fairly soon.
Absolutely. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we're going to wrap up. We're about out of time.
Sure.
But Ron, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
this is fantastic.
Fields Pond tonight.
Excuse me. Thank you for that
Yeah,
plug.
I was going to mention, I've got
Fields Pond in Holden.
my book tour presentation starts tonight at Fields Pond Nature Center in Holden.
Yep.
And then tomorrow night I'll be in Dover Foxcroft for a reading at the library.
Reading at the Dover Foxcroft
Yes,
Library.
yes.
Okay, so we will have this interview on foxbangor.com, and we'll have a reminder about both of those times.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming on.
All right.
It's been fantastic. We'll send it over to Devin Biggs for our full weather forecast.